Hi, this is Casey with the Ralston team here in Chula Vista. Today we're talking about what you should do as the homeowner if your tenant stops paying rent. This is a question that we get all the time. So there's probably 5 key steps to ensuring that you handle the situation as best as possible. Number 1 is avoid being emotional. When you're emotional about making sure that rent comes in, that's what leads you to make deals with the tenant, and very often you're accepting promises in lieu of the rent. Make sure that you detach and know that there's a very good possibility that once the rent hasn't come in, you may not receive that rent. So you just want to make sure that you handle everything step by step and don't get sucked into a promise that the tenant makes about, oh, I promise I'll get you the rent next Tuesday. In the same regard, it's important that you act quickly. So if you have a suspicion that the rent's not going to come in, as soon as the grace period allowed for in the tenant's lease has expired, whether that's 3 days or 5 days, you'll want to deliver the 3-day notice to pay or quit right away. This is a very important document. This is the lead-in to a potential eviction. So you'll want to make sure that not only is it mailed, it's also served to the tenant in person or posted at the property. Number 3, you're going to want to create a true cutoff date in your head as to when you're actually going to start the legal action, and stick to that date. At the Ralston team, the 15th is our absolute cutoff. If the rent hasn't arrived on the 15th, we start the legal action against that tenant. If you delay that legal action following the serving of the 3-day notice, you're just going to be further and further behind the 8 ball, and you're going to be losing more and more rent. So create that cutoff date and then stick to it. Number 4, work with an attorney. We highly recommend that you don't try to take on the eviction process on your own. Once you've actually hit that cutoff date that you set in your mind, hire an attorney. At this point, it's early in the game, and you should still have the tenant's refundable security deposit in your possession, and you can always apply that toward attorney's fees if you win in court. So don't be afraid to hire a professional. It's going to save you time, and very likely it's going to save you money and hassle. And then finally, the most important thing is, don't forget, really, if the tenant hasn't paid rent, what you want is possession of the property. Don't get tied to trying to collect that rent. There's a very good possibility you'll never receive it. But if you have possession of the property, you can get rid of that outgoing tenant who hasn't paid and get a new tenant in the property so that you're up and running again and collecting rent. If you're trying to chase down that rent from the tenant who hasn't paid, very often it's an exercise in futility. That money will never come, and it's going to delay the process. So if you have an opportunity to get the keys to the property and get that tenant out, absolutely take it. So those 5 steps should hopefully give you a little bit of an insight into how to handle a situation where the tenant hasn't paid rent. If you'd like more information or you'd like to talk with us, visit our website at sdrealestatemanagement.com. In the meantime, this is Casey with the Ralston team here in Chula Vista, signing off.